Tonight's broadcast is made possible with the support of these underwriters.
High school basketball teams returned to the floor for the first time in 2016 last week, and the four Wilmington schools are looking to make a move for top spot in the Mid-Eastern Conference. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Katz from PortCityDaily.com. Welcome to our latest edition of Sports Roundtable as we take a weekly look at high school hoops across New Hanover County. We'll talk with the four coaches, the girls varsity coaches from across New Hanover County at Ashley, Hoggard, Laney, and New Hanover tonight. The Lady Vikes and Wildcats are unbeaten in league play atop the division right now. Ashley and Laney have had to overcome some injuries thus far as we head through the next couple of weeks, and they look to stay relevant in league play as we head into a full slate of games throughout the course of this week. Make sure you check out PortCityDaily.com each and every day for up-to-date score, stats, and highlights from all the high school action across the Wilmington area. A quick look at the standings inside the conference before we get to our first guest tonight. As I mentioned, the Hoggard girls basketball team off to a 4-0 start in league play, 13-3 overall, winners of 6 straight. The Vikes also claimed the 22nd annual Leon Brogdon Holiday Basketball Tournament during the Christmas break. New Hanover also unbeaten in conference, 11-4 on the year. Laney and Ashley are 2-1 in the division. That will bring us to our first guest this evening. He's the head coach of the Hoggard Lady Vikes, and that's Boubacar Aw. And coach, now what is it, your fifth season now as the head coach?
No, that's my fourth season.
Fourth
yes,
season
going
as
into
the
my
head
fourth
coach.
season, yes, sir.
So going into your fourth season,
Yes.
you've got the Lady Vikes playing at a very high level right now, and I know it's hard to follow up a East Regional performance last year. You lose a couple of star players in that lineup. You come back, you claim the 22nd annual Leon Brogdon Holiday Basketball Tournament Championship. So things are business as usual for you right now on Shipyard Boulevard.
Well, I wouldn't call it business as usual. We were pretty lucky and very fortunate to win the Leon Brogdon tournament after falling short last year. The girls, it was in the back of the girls' mind, and they really wanted to win their tournament, and I'm really proud of them. I felt like we play our best basketball during that tournament.
Well, whether or not you think it's business as usual, you lose 2 of your top players from last year, and you got to think, we may have some work to do and cut out some challenges moving into this season. But right now, Emma Haywood, your senior leader right now, kind of taking over as, my kind of early favorite for Mid-Eastern Conference Player of the Year. You also have some great assets on the bench for you to go along with that starting five, and Tara Petit, Aaliyah Thompson, another one of those members that are returning from the varsity squad last season. So a lot of experience, some newcomers to the lineup, and hitting their stride right now, unbeaten in conference.
Well, anytime you lose your best scorer in Julia Bullitt and your best rebounder in Madison Huckabee, I mean, it's going to hurt. But some girls have stepped up this year. I mean, you mentioned a few of them. I mean, Emma understands that she's a senior and she's taking the leading role. I mean, she is very comfortable doing that. You mentioned Aliyah, which is probably my unsung hero. Her name is not mentioned a lot of time, but the job she does for us is unbelievable. And Tara, obviously, I call her probably the most important player on my team because also the job she does, and you don't see that on the stat sheet. But I'm very fortunate. I mean, I have a great group of young girls who are willing to let us coach them, and they're great listeners, and they strive to get better each and every day, and I'm very honored to call them my coach.
13-3 overall right now, winners of 6 straight games. We'll take a look at some of the highlights from last Friday's dominating win down in South Brunswick. And Coach, 2 of the players that I think that are not only unsung but newcomers to the team this year, Blair Barefoot, a freshman who is coming off the bench for you at the point guard position, replacing Tara, so you're not losing much there, in addition to a transfer that you're able to get in Alicia Fisher, who can score the basketball from deep, and she has the ability to do some big things for you, I think, come down the stretch time.
Well, Blair is a very interesting player. She's a very talented young girl, and she's obviously, being a young girl, being a freshman, she's trying to figure out things around. But I think she's going to be a really good player for us. But not just to mention Blair, there is another, a few girls on my bench. I mean, I have Caitlin Brennan, I have Mia Boone, I have Sierra Drupal, and I have Olivia Hawkins. I mean, these girls have been with me now for 2 years, and they starting to understand exactly what I want from them. But like, I'm very excited about my team, and you also mentioned Alicia Fisher, transfer from Charlotte. I mean, fits right into what we are trying to accomplish. I mean, it seems like she's been here forever. But I think the key things is them being coachable. I think that's a very important thing.
Well, I think one of the things that you have this year that you did not have last year was that deep bench where you're able to play 6, 7, 8 players at a time in your rotation, and that's going to be huge for you, especially in games like this where you kind of dominate early in the game and you're able to get some of these younger players some valuable minutes at the varsity level, which come crunch time could help you out, especially when we're talking about the state playoffs.
Well, I do, Joe, I do put a lot of emphasis on team. I don't want my team just to be dominated by one player, even though it has happened in the past, because Julia is such a good player. But I always put an emphasis and focus on team. We cannot be successful if we just rely on 1 or 2 players. I want everybody to be part of the team and to feel like, hey, I'm valued here. And that's what we emphasize day in and day out. And the girls, they have done a good job just buying into it. And I think that kind of really helped a lot.
Well, the foot is still on the gas pedal for you right now. You think there might be some, lackadaisical play coming off that holiday tournament, but you win the championship and you come and take care of business this first week of 2016. You're atop the conference right now, exactly where you want to be heading into the midseason push now.
Well, when you're dealing with young people, you always have to worry about things like that. They sometimes they can get content, but I have to give a lot of credit to my seniors, Aaliyah and Emma. They are doing an amazing job just trying to get everybody focused and trying to get everybody hungry. But,
He's the 4th-year head coach of the Hoggard Lady Vikes. They're off to a great start this season, looking to follow up a strong performance last year, making an appearance in the 4A East Regional. Coach, always a pleasure catching up with you, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Joe. Always a pleasure to talk to you,
That's
too.
Coach Boubacar for the Hoggard Vikings. We'll take a quick break here on Sports Roundtable. We'll catch up with Laney head basketball coach Sherry Tynes right after this quick break. Hey everybody, welcome back to a Sports Roundtable as we continue our weekly look at high school basketball across New Hanover County. This week we're talking with the girls varsity coaches from Ashley, Hoggard, Laney, and New Hanover. We appreciate Hoggard 4th-year coach Boubacar for stopping by for our first segment. Don't forget, log on to PortCityDaily.com for local score stats and highlights across the Wilmington area as we cover the dozen or so schools across New Hanover, Brunswick, and Pender counties. One of the good things about this job, I guess, over the last 4 or so years is now getting a chance to follow some of these high school athletes into their college years. And we have a story today at PortCityDaily.com on the dozen or so local athletes competing at the college level. And speaking of that, we've got 2 as we bring in our next guest, Laney head coach Sherry Tynes and Coach Tynes. Actually 3 players that were recently on your team, now competing at the college level. And Tiana Edwards at Winston-Salem State, Paulette Addison at North Greenville, and then Brianna Baham doing some big things down in Brunswick County for the community college team for the Lady Dolphins. And Coach, maybe just talk a little bit about their success so far at the college level.
Oh, all 3 of those guys have moved on and been very successful at each of their colleges, both in the classroom and on the floor. And Brianna just recently committed to finish her last 2 years at Pembroke College, so that was an exciting event for her. So yeah, it's always fun to watch those kids go and grow and keep up with them after Laney, and they're doing really well and just like I said, a lot of fun to keep up with that.
Brianna actually ranked 23rd right now in the National Junior College Athletic Association for points per game, so she's doing her thing down in Brunswick County. I'm glad that she's going to continue that at a four-year school. This season has had plenty of challenges for you as a coach that has been doing it for a long time. Each season presents its own challenges. This year, before the season even gets started, you lose one of your top players to an injury. You yourself is hobbled heading through the midseason push right now. So I just want you give the listeners and viewers out there just a little insight into what Bucktown has had to deal with this season.
Well, Jensen Edwards, who was our starting point guard last year, went down with an ACL injury, and first and foremost, we really hate that for Jensen. It's a tough injury. Takes a lot of work to get back from that, but she's doing that. She's doing well. We expect her to be back, this spring. Not for us, but out working out and getting ready for next year. But I'm doing really well. But it happens. And of course, it changed the complexion of our team. But from there, you just move forward and you find other ways to make things happen and try to be successful. And the kids have to step up, and some of them, their roles have changed, their responsibilities have changed, and that's what you do. You go with what you got, you do the best you can, you find a way. It might be unconventional, but you find a way.
Well, right now you're sitting at 2-1 in conference, still right in the middle of the mix here as we get ready to face some of the in-town teams coming up over the next couple of weeks. And anytime you go up against a Wilmington school, anything could happen on any given night. But with that said, you've got some returners here to the lineup that have varsity experience, Bailey Edwards being one of them, Jada Malone, another player for you at the point guard position. So you have some pieces that have experienced some success, and hopefully they're able to carry that, obviously, into these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and they have. That they've all, have given us a little bit here and there, and then that's their role now. That's their job. Go in for 2 to 3 minutes and be solid. Don't go in and try to do what you can't do. Do what you can do, and let's see what happens. But they're working hard. They got lots of energy. They're doing the intangible things that you don't coach, and that's a good thing. And as long as we do that, we feel like we'll put ourselves in a position to maybe win a game that we shouldn't win. And that's what our focus has been. Do the little things so the big things can hopefully fall in place for us.
Well, this past Friday, you go down into Charlotte, and always a tough place to play when you head out on the road, any road game, let alone take the hour or so bus ride down into Brunswick County. I know we've got some highlights from that game. So, Coach, why don't you take us through the victory for the Bucks down in Charlotte?
Yeah, went down there. I think we got a 13-point win. They did a good job. They are a team that I think has improved. They've got some size in there that, can give you some problem if you don't have anybody to go in there to go head-to-head with them. But there we hit a shot from the baseline. I believe that was Lexi Melville for us. But defensively, they changed things up on us, and we did a decent job adjusting, which is what we got to do. We got to get better at those things, regardless of who we play. But and then that's Bailey on the left side for a shot. So we got kids that can get the job done. We just we really have to make sure that, we're not the other team's greatest strength, by making mistakes, unforced mistakes, and just try to stay the course, do what we do and try to do what we do well. Don't try to do any more or any less. Do what you do well and then see what happens.
One of those players you kind of mentioned just at the top there was Lexi Melville. She hit a game-winning buzzer beater shot at the Leon Brogdon tournament, and she's another one of those spark plugs for you that you're going to need her to have success and make some baskets for you if you want to put yourself to win.
And the thing is, I think we've got 6 or 7 sophomores, and some of those kids are new to the team because they came off the JV team from last year. So we've got a good, solid group of sophomores that we feel are going to grow and they're going to get better. This year is a huge learning experience for them, and if we can just get them to stay focused, on the learning process, not so much how many minutes do I get to play in a game, but get in practice and really get after it. And then those things are going to happen for them, and we're going to be a better team for it, and we're going to be better down the road for it.
One of those other players that continue to give you a good effort, especially down low, Micah Morley.
Yeah.
She was, against New Hanover last week. I think she had 8 or 9 rebounds for you, and she's going to be big.
She did,
down low.
And she's big, and that's something we've been working on and just begging her, to go to the boards and get some rebounds. Somebody's got to do it, and she's stepped up in these last 2 games and done a really nice job for us, much better than she had been doing up until that point. So we're hoping to keep that alive and keep that going.
Coach Sherry Tynes of Laney High School. Coach, I know you missed out on the Brogdon tournament this year, and you're trying to get back to full strength with that that foot of yours. But it's glad to see that you're back on the sidelines, and it's not really a Laney women's basketball game without you out there.
Well, I appreciate it. I hated being away, but hopefully this has put me on the road to few more layups and slam dunks.
Well, we got to
I
get
don't
Coach
know.
Adams' voice back into check now after those 2 weeks of screaming without
he's a
you
little
there.
hoarse still, yeah.
Laney, Coach Sherry Tynes catching up with us here on Sports Roundtable. We'll take a quick break. We'll catch up with new Hanover coach Bertha Dixon right after this break. High school basketball fans, welcome back to Sports Roundtable as we continue our discussion this evening with the four varsity basketball coaches on the girls' side as we head through the midseason push. Mid-Eastern Conference play well underway. We get to a full slate of games throughout the week. Check out PortCityDaily.com, local score stats and highlights from all your local action across the Wilmington area. Thanks again to Coach Tynes for joining us last segment. Now talking New Hanover High School basketball with Coach Bertha Dixon Wright. Wildcats off to a unbeaten start in league play. You're 11-4 right now on the season, and you come up short in that Leon Brogdon tournament, and I kind of wrote about it, the fact that last year Hoggard used that to propel themselves into a 4A East Regional. Can we maybe think that might happen for the Wildcats this season, Coach?
Well, you never know. We've done a lot of talk about that since the Leon Brogdon tournament. We probably talked too much about it because you can see this past week we kind of had to fight to come back to the game that we were playing. We can honestly say we didn't play our best that game. Don't take anything away from Hoggard. We know they played had a good game plan, and we didn't play well. We didn't make free throws. Our shot selections weren't the best, and whatever we did shoot didn't go in. So I'm not going to use the Leon Brogdon to help propel us, but I do want them to remember what happened on that night.
Well, right now you come out into the new year and you pick up conference wins to stay atop in the division and looking for a first place finish. Obviously, as you head down the stretch, a lot of basketball still to be played. But with that said, you've having a little trouble right now getting off to a solid start. In the second half, it's a different Wildcat team coming out of the locker room. I'm sure that has something to do with what you tell them during the halftime break. But with that said, what can we do to get New Hanover playing 4 quarters of basketball moving forward?
My team right now is almost like a boxer. They just kind of try to feel out their opponents. And, I mean, it's something they're doing on their own. And then all of a sudden we realize this guy might be dropping his left hand, or I can see him turn his chin to the left or the right, and for some odd reason it's the third and fourth quarters. We do have some heated discussions in the locker room about some things, and we come out, and the good part about it is our kids are able to make the adjustment. If we couldn't make the adjustment, then I'd have some problems. For the last couple of practices, even on Saturday, we've been working on how do we come out of the gate a little faster than what we're doing, and so that's our goal from now to the end of the year. Let's come out, have a better start, and then hopefully we won't have to struggle too much to come back.
Well, let's get to some of these highlights from a previous game, and then we'll get to some of the players that are contributing in these efforts and your unbeaten mark in conference. And this is obviously the game last Friday against Topsail.
Yes, a lot of people thought Topsail's 7-0 start was a fluke, and I kept trying to tell my kids, they're playing pretty good basketball, and they are. They really are. They're coming out ready to play, and they're not timid. They come at you. They come at you with all 5 players. Their defense is solid. If you take the bad shot, they're going to get the rebound, and they're ready to get up and down the court. So I was kind of glad that it wasn't a blowout, because once again our kids are kind of getting in there and then kind of fighting around in the ring, but not throwing the knockout punch until like the third or fourth quarter. So. It was a good game. It was a good one. Again, I felt like we fought back and we had the ammunition to do it.
For the most part this season, Ayanna Cotton has been your leading scorer, and one thing I took from this game at least was you had other players step up in that second half. Azaria Fields finally was able to get some shots to fall.
Right.
Kaylee Merrill, a girl that comes off the bench for you primarily, but as you say, you call her a football player on the field sometimes, the way she throws up some of those layups. But with that said, she scored 12 points in that second half, so she was finally able to execute as well.
Right. They were able to find her on the backside of the zone, and she was able to make the easy ones, which we were glad to see. She's still kind of struggling a little bit from a leg injury from way before the Christmas tournament. And because she doesn't like to stop weightlifting, she doesn't like to stop running, it's kind of slow to heal. And they fed it to her, and she was able to make the easy basket. So we were kind of glad to see.
We talked about Ayanna and what she brings to the floor, and we continue to tell her, even myself, after games, is that she needs to also bring that intensity for 4 quarters.
Yes, I agree. We haven't seen the true Ayanna Cotton yet. I'm hoping between you, me, and everybody else in her ear that it will eventually show up. She will show up. Ayana is probably the most all-around top player that we have. We've got a lot of kids that can complement her and a lot of kids that complement each other, but we haven't seen the true Ayana yet. So I'm still waiting for it.
Two other players that I think that have helped you get off to this unbeaten start in conference, 11-4. One is Amani Muhammad. She can play in and out for you.
Right.
And then you've got Elizabeth Kreiner in there, throwing some elbows. And you lost a lot of beef down low last year in the graduation of Naija Waddell and Alex Simmons.
Right.
But Elizabeth has fit in well for you as a young player, and
Right.
she'll continue to improve as
Right.
the season goes on.
She's a sophomore. This is her second year playing organized basketball. So she's trying to learn on the fly, and we do mean that. I mean, it's a teachable moment every time she comes off the floor. We're discussing, do this, you should have done this, can you do this, next time try this, that type of thing. But she's in there and she battles for us, and we hope she continues to battle and get in a couple of good big man camps this summer, and I hope we're going to see a big difference next year.
New Hanover coach Bertha Dixon-Wright. The Wildcats head into a big week in conference. They are 11-4 on the year. Have won a couple of games in a row coming off the Christmas break, and New Hanover looking to stay atop the division, getting back into league play as we head through the midseason push. Coach Dixon-Wright, thanks a lot, and we'll catch up with you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Take a quick break here at Sports Roundtable. We'll wrap up our conversation this evening with Ashley women's basketball coach Adrian Gale right after this. High school basketball fans, welcome back to Sports Roundtable as we wrap up our conversation this evening with the four women's basketball coaches from across New Hanover County. Thanks again to Coach Bertha Dixon-Wright for stopping by last segment. Last but not least is the head coach of the Ashley Screaming Eagles, and that's Adrian Gale. And Coach, heading through this season, you bring some pieces back to the puzzle that you think I'm calling you the dark horses of the Mid-Eastern Conference. No one giving you much credit, but I think you have the talent on paper to potentially make a run for a league title. You did suffer a bit of a setback this season, losing Lola Lovett to an injury. Don't think she'll be back for the year, and she's one of your top scorers from last season, so definitely some hardships early on, some challenges presenting themselves with that injury.
Yeah, well, we're piecing. We're trying to piece every day. And, we lost our two leading scorers from last year, and over the summer, with China Cotton leaving, that kind of put us in a setback. But, we played all summer without her, so we kind of knew where we stood and what we needed to do and how we needed to replace her points and rebounds, et cetera, presence on the floor. And then with Lola going down a couple weeks ago, we're hoping that she's going to come back. She said 4 to 6 weeks. So at the end of the month, it'll be about that time frame. So she's going to go back to the doctor, I think, next week and get another x-ray done and see. The good news is it's a fracture. There's no ligament damage or anything, and that's what's going to usually take longer time. Right. So as long as that's healing properly, we could get her back. So we'll see. We're not, it's kind of like you don't want to rely and count on it if she doesn't come back, but any time that she would come back would be great for us.
Well, during this time, you've had some players kind of step up for you, and you need that, obviously, if you want to compete this season. You can't, win a basketball game with just one player. And looking up and down the lineup, you've got some athletes here that are, contributing in a big way, are 2-1 in conference right now. And one of those players, Carly Barron, continues to put in some minutes for you, in addition to Dana Craig down low for you. I think you've got some size that matches up pretty well against the rest of the Mid-Eastern Conference. So, you've got some pieces here that could potentially Serenity Williams, another point guard for you that has had some big games down throughout the early course of the schedule. So you've got, like I said, some pieces to the puzzle that if we put it all together, we get back Lola at the end of the month, we can make a run here at the conference.
Well, that's what we're kind of hoping for. We see the potential in everybody that we have, and I like that what you said about us, because maybe I'll use that to inspire the girls a little bit more. It's not just us and what we see, but what others see, and we do have potential. And now it's kind of just getting everybody to play together at the same time. Everybody has their moments of looking great, but it's never at the same game, And Dana has done a good job down low. We just need her to do more and do that constantly. And that's the same thing with all the girls. You see us, we're in a roller coaster. We have moments of looking great, and then we have really down, down moments and where we need to kind of keep going up. And we've had a good week of practice, and we're hoping that's going to pay off. And we just need to get that toughness in and understand that, you know, we can compete if we choose to. And, you know, Carly is our really, you know, only game returner from last year that's got a lot of minutes. So, and that's a lot of pressure on her, and I don't want her to feel that pressure. So we just need to get some contributions from everybody, and Serenity, you know, has done a good job filling in too.
Well, we'll take a look at some of the highlights
Okay.
from the Leon Brogdon Holiday Tournament. Anytime you play 3 games in 3 days, not a lot of practice time in between the holidays, so you never know what you're going to kind of get during that tournament. But with that said, you're able to get 1 win during the course of the Brogdon event, and you know, maybe some thoughts that you took from this game in particular.
Well, this is the last game, and we actually bounced back after that Tuesday big game. I don't even want to talk about it. So that showed a lot for the girls to bounce back, resilience and everything. So we're proud of them for that. Unfortunately, we didn't come out with a win, but they did play better that game, and we had a lead, and we just happened to let it slide. And that's kind of been the story of our season. We've been up on teams and, you know, let some games go, and I think that goes with their youth and inexperience at the varsity level. So, you know, hopefully they're learning from these games and trying to build on, and eventually when we'll be in these situations later on in conference play, it'll make a difference.
Down low, we talked about Dana's you know, contributions to you this season. Angel Smith, another one of those players that has done a good job for you, and really her first season for the Screaming Eagles. And then Vanessa Fay, someone that comes off the bench that grabs rebounds as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to the girls how big we are and how our post presence needs to make a difference in these games, especially with the teams that don't have the size that we do. And, you know, Angel is a sophomore, you know, got in some minutes last year, you know, if China or Dana were in foul trouble. But other than that, you know, we're calling upon for her to do a lot this year, and she's responded. So, and I'm proud of her for that, and she just needs to keep grinding and being a strong presence down low.
Well, you're 2-1 in league play right now, and looking to obviously cause some noise here in the Mid-Eastern Conference. And I think, you know, you weather the storm here for the next couple of weeks, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But you got to take care of business before that.
Yeah, we're just going to take it, you know, each practice and each game day by day, and just look for growth and look for improvement, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to knock down some of these games.
Ashley coach Adrian Gale joining us on Sports Roundtable for the first time this season. Coach Gale, good catching up with you.
You too. Thanks for
I'll
having
talk to you in a couple of weeks. That will do it for another edition of Sports Roundtable. Thanks again to the coaches for stopping by the studio tonight to talk about their programs, the athletes contributing to their teams this season. Join us again next Wednesday night as the coaches from the boys varsity basketball teams from across New Hanover County join us right here on Sports Roundtable. For the folks here at New Hanover County Schools TV, I'm Joe Katz. Until next time.